The large meeting hall was quiet. Representatives from hundreds of different alien species sat in their seats. Some looked like giant insects, others were made of pure light. Some floated in tanks of special liquids. They all waited. Ambassador Jiwan walked to the center platform. She was human. Her people had only discovered faster-than-light travel 3 years ago. Before that, humans had never left their own solar system. Now she stood before the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Jiwan wore simple clothes compared to the other ambassadors. No fancy technology. No glowing crystals. Just cloth with symbols representing Earth. She looked small and weak next to the others. But she stood straight and tall. She began to speak. Her voice was clear and strong. The translation devices made sure everyone could understand her words in their own language. "We come in peace," Jiwan said. "Humanity wants to be friends with all of you. We want to learn from you. We want to trade with you. We want to share stories and knowledge." She paused. Then her voice became harder. "But we will protect what is ours. The space around our 12 worlds belongs to humanity. If you want to visit, you must ask permission first. If you enter without asking, we will see it as an attack. We will defend ourselves." A loud clicking sound filled the hall. It came from the Vrax representative. The Vrax were an old and powerful empire. They controlled 3,000 star systems. Their empire had existed for over 1,000 years. The Vrax representative was tall. He had a hard shell-like armor. His eyes were huge and made of many small parts. His mouth parts clicked together when he spoke. The clicking sound was his way of laughing. "You threaten us?" the Vrax said. "Your species learned to travel between stars only 3 years ago. You have 12 worlds. The Vrax Empire has 3,000. Our weapons can destroy planets. Our ships number in the millions. And you dare to threaten us?" Jiwan looked directly at him. She did not look away. She did not show fear. "We do not threaten, we warn. There is a difference." "A warning?" The Vrax clicked again. But this time the sound was different. Less like laughter. "What can your tiny species do to us?" "You do not know humans," Jiwan replied. "You see that we are young. You see that we are small. You see that we have simple technology, but you do not see what makes us dangerous." She walked slowly around the platform as she spoke. Every eye in the hall watched her. "My people survived for hundreds of thousands of years on a difficult world. Our planet had long periods of terrible cold. Ice covered half the world. Many species died. Humans survived. Diseases killed millions of us. We had no medicine. No advanced science. We survived. Giant rocks from space hit our planet. Volcanoes erupted and filled the sky with ash. The sun disappeared for years. We survived." She stopped walking and faced the assembly again. "We did not just survive. We grew stronger. We learned. We adapted. When we had no fire, we learned to make it. When we had no food, we learned to grow it. When we had no tools, we learned to build them. And then we did something else," Jiwan continued. "We fought each other. For thousands of years, humans killed other humans. We had terrible wars. Wars that killed tens of millions. We built weapons that could destroy our entire species. We looked at those weapons and realized we could end all life on our planet." "Do you know what we did then?" she asked. "We stopped. We decided not to use those weapons. We decided to work together instead. It was hard. It took time. We still have problems, but we learned to control ourselves. We learned to think about the future." The hall was completely silent now. Even the Vrax had stopped clicking. Jiwan's voice grew quieter but somehow more powerful. "You think this is about strength, about who has more ships or better weapons. It is not. This is about will, about determination, about what we are willing to sacrifice. Humans remember everything," she said. "Every war, every invasion, every time someone tried to conquer us. We write it down. We teach it to our children. We make sure no one ever forgets. It is in our blood, in our culture, in every story we tell." She raised her hand and pointed at a star map floating above them. It showed human space, 12 small dots. "You see weakness. We see home. Every single one of those worlds has billions of humans. Humans who will fight to protect their families, their children, their future. We do not want war," Jiwan said firmly. "We came to the stars hoping to find friends, teachers, partners. We still hope for that. But if you force us to fight, you will learn something about humanity that we tried to warn you about." She walked back to the center of the platform. We never give up, never. You can destroy our ships. You can invade our worlds. You can kill millions of us. But you cannot make us surrender. You cannot break our will. You cannot stop us from fighting back. And we will remember, she added. If you attack us today, humans will remember it for 1,000 years. 10,000 years. We will teach our children about it. We will pass down the story. And someday, somehow, we will make you pay for it. Jiwan looked around the hall one more time. So I say again, we come in peace. We want to be your friends. But the borders around our space are clear. Cross them without permission, and you will face consequences. Not because we are strong, not because we have great weapons, but because we are humans, and humans protect their own. The Vrax representative stared at her. His clicking had completely stopped. Something in the human's eyes made him uncomfortable. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was something else. Something ancient. Something that said she meant every word. Other representatives began to whisper among themselves. Some were impressed. Others were skeptical. A few seemed worried. The humans were so young and so weak compared to the great empires, but there was something in their ambassador's warning that felt real. Jiwan bowed slightly to the assembly. Then she walked back to her seat. The formal presentation was over. Now the council would vote on whether to accept humanity's territorial claims, whether to respect their borders, whether to take their warning seriously. As she sat down, an older ambassador from a peaceful species leaned over to her. That was brave, the alien said quietly. But do you really think they believed you? Jiwan looked at the Vrax representative across the hall. He was talking urgently with his advisors. Some of them believed me, she said. But some of them think we are bluffing. They think humans are too weak to be a real threat. They will test us, and if they do? The older ambassador asked. Jiwan's expression became hard. Then they will learn that humans do not bluff. We mean what we say, always. The vote came later that day. The council officially recognized human territorial claims, but it was not unanimous. The Vrax Empire abstained from voting. They did not vote yes. They did not vote no. They simply refused to participate. Jiwan knew what that meant. The Vrax were not accepting the warning. They were not respecting human space. They were planning something, testing humanity's resolve, seeing if the humans were serious. As she left the council chamber, Jiwan sent a message back to Earth. It was simple and direct. Prepare the defenses. The Vrax will come. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they will come. And when they do, we must be ready to show them that humanity keeps its promises. Back on Earth, military commanders received the message. They began moving ships into position. Training crews, building weapons, preparing plans. Humanity had tried peace. They had given fair warning. Now they would prepare for war. The Vrax Empire watched and waited. They sent scouts to observe human worlds. They studied human technology. They counted human ships. The numbers all said the same thing. Humanity was weak. Their weapons were primitive. Their ships were slow. Their empire was tiny. The Vrax military command made their decision. They would test these humans, show them their place in the galaxy, teach them that the strong ruled and the weak obeyed. It would be a simple operation, quick, easy, a demonstration of power. They were wrong. They did not understand humans at all, and they were about to learn their mistake the hard way. Commander Taeyang sat in his command chair on the bridge of the TFS Indomitable. It was a military ship, not the biggest, not the newest, but it was his ship and his crew. They were on patrol near the Kepler 442 system, one of humanity's 12 colony worlds. The sensor officer spoke suddenly. Sir, we have contacts. Multiple ships just entered the system. They are coming through the jump point. Taeyang leaned forward. How many? 15 ships, sir. They are Vrax military vessels, warships, all of them. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. The Vrax had crossed into human space without permission, without warning. This was exactly what Ambassador Jiwan had said would happen. Lieutenant Minho worked the communication controls. Sir, the lead ship is sending a message. Do you want to hear it? Put it on the main screen, Taeyang ordered. The screen showed a Vrax officer. He was large and covered in hard armor-like shell. His many eyes looked at Taeyang with what seemed like contempt. When he spoke, his mandibles clicked together. Human ship, you will move away from this system. The Vrax Empire is claiming these planets. We will extract the resources here. Your colonies will be relocated. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation. Taeyang felt a cold feeling in his chest. It was anger mixed with determination. He had studied human history. He knew about all the times stronger powers had tried to push humans around. It never ended well for the stronger powers. Vrax Commander, Taeyang said calmly, you have entered Terran space without permission. This is a violation of our sovereignty. You were warned about this at the Galactic Council. Ambassador Jiwan made our position very clear. The Vrax Commander clicked his mandibles in what might have been laughter. Your ambassador made many threats. But threats are empty without power. You have 1 ship. We have 15. Our weapons are superior. Our shields are stronger. You cannot stop us, that is true, Taeyang admitted. We have 1 military ship here. You have 15. In a direct fight, we would lose. But Commander, you are making a mistake. You are thinking like a Vrax. You need to think like a human. What does that mean? Taeyang smiled. It was not a nice smile. It means we do not fight fair. We fight to win. He made a small gesture to Minho. The communications officer sent out a special signal. It went to every human ship in range, every civilian vessel, every transport, every mining ship, every private yacht. The message was simple. Just 2 words. Protocol Hornet. Every human knew about Protocol Hornet. It was taught in schools, practiced in drills. The idea was simple. When the military calls, every civilian answers. No questions. No hesitation. Just action. Within 5 minutes, ships began changing course. A freighter carrying food to the outer colonies turned toward Kepler 442. A passenger liner full of tourists altered its route. Mining vessels stopped their work and started moving. Small private ships with families aboard headed for the system. The Vrax sensor officer noticed first. Commander, we are detecting multiple ships approaching. Hundreds of them. No thousands. They are civilian vessels. They do not have military markings. The Vrax commander looked at his displays in confusion. Why are civilians coming here? This is a military situation. On the Indomitable, Taeyang watched the same displays with satisfaction. 3,000 civilian ships were converging on the system. More were coming. The numbers kept growing. 4,000. 5,000, Commander. Taeyang said to the Vrax officer. Look at your sensors. What do you see? I see thousands of unarmed civilian ships. They are no threat to us, you are correct. They are civilians, unarmed, no weapons, no shields, just regular people going about their lives. There are families on those ships, children, elderly people, workers, merchants, students, all civilians. Taeyang's voice became harder. Now they are surrounding your fleet. If you fire on us, you will hit them too. You will kill thousands of innocent civilians. That would be genocide. The entire galaxy would know about it. This is insane. What kind of species uses civilians as shields? We do not use them as shields, Taeyang replied firmly. We did not order them to come. We just sent out a signal. They chose to come. Every single one of them made their own choice. Because that is what humans do. When our people are threatened, we stand together. He gestured at the screen showing all the civilian ships. That freighter captain, his name is Junho. He was taking grain to feed people on the frontier. He left his cargo and came here. That mining crew? They are brothers named Hyun and Dae. They were sending money home to their mother. They stopped working and came here. That passenger liner? Full of tourists. People on vacation. They voted to change course and come here. That small yacht? A grandmother named Sumi is flying it. She was visiting her grandchildren. She came here too. Every single person made a choice. They chose to protect their home. The Vrax commander stared at his screens. The civilian ships had formed a massive sphere around his fleet. They were not armed. They were not dangerous. But they were there. Thousands of them. And they were broadcasting messages. Messages of defiance. Messages of determination. Messages that said they would not abandon their world. Commander, Taeyang continued, you came here expecting a military battle. Ship against ship. Weapons against weapons. That is how the Vrax Empire thinks. But humans think differently. We see a bigger picture. If you attack us now, you will kill civilians. Thousands of them. The Galactic Council will declare you war criminals. Every species in the galaxy will hear about it. Some will refuse to trade with you. Others will impose sanctions. Some might even declare war on you. But worse than that, Taeyang said quietly. You will face humanity's wrath, all of it. Because if you kill our civilians, every human everywhere will want revenge. We will never stop hunting you, never stop fighting you, never forget what you did. He leaned forward in his chair. We will become your nightmare. We will attack your supply lines. We will raid your convoys. We will strike at your colonies when you least expect it. We will fight a guerrilla war that lasts for generations. Your empire will spend more resources fighting us than you would ever gain from conquering our worlds. So here is your choice, Commander. You can leave now with honor. Tell your superiors that humans are not worth the trouble, that we are more dangerous than expected, or you can attack and start a war that will drain your empire for decades, maybe centuries. The Vrax commander looked at his tactical displays. His weapons officer was waiting for orders. His shields were up. He could destroy the human military ship easily, but those thousands of civilian ships were in the way. He would have to kill them all to reach his target. For the first time in his military career, the Vrax commander felt uncertain. He had been trained to fight battles, to use superior force, to overwhelm the enemy. But this was not a normal battle. This was something else entirely. The humans had not matched his military strength. They had changed the rules. They had made it impossible for him to fight without becoming a monster, without committing an atrocity that would haunt the Vrax Empire forever. You were warned, Taiyang said one final time. Ambassador G1 told the entire Galactic Council. Entering human space means consequences. We meant it. Now make your choice. The Vrax commander closed his many eyes for a moment. Then he opened them and gave an order. All ships, set course for the jump point. We are leaving this system. His officers looked shocked. Sir, we have superior force. We can complete the mission. No, the commander said firmly. We cannot. Not without cost. Not without consequences we are not prepared to face. The humans have outmaneuvered us. They won this battle without firing a shot. The 15 Virax warships turned away from Kepler 442. They moved toward the jump point. Within an hour, they were gone. On the Indomitable, the crew cheered. They had faced 15 warships with only one ship and won. But Taeyang did not celebrate. He knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. Send a message to all the civilian ships, he ordered. Thank them for answering the call. Tell them they can return to their normal activities. And tell them that humanity is proud of every single one of them. The civilian ships slowly began to disperse. They went back to their cargo runs, their mining operations, their passenger routes, their family visits. But now they knew something important. They knew that when humanity needed them, they would answer. And they knew their answer made a difference. The Vrax Empire had been forced to retreat. For the first time in their 1,000-year history, they had backed down. Not because they were defeated militarily, but because humans had shown them a different kind of strength. The strength of unity. The strength of a people willing to risk everything for each other. But the Vrax would not forget this humiliation. They would not accept defeat. They would return. And next time they would come with overwhelming force. The real war was still ahead. 3 months passed. The Vrax Empire had been quiet. Too quiet. Admiral Hyejin knew they were planning something. She could feel it. She had been a military officer for 30 years. She had learned to trust her instincts. She was on New Sol, the capital world of the Terran Federation. Her office had windows looking out at the planet's main city. Millions of people lived there, going to work, raising families, living normal lives. They trusted her to keep them safe. A young officer rushed into her office. His face was pale. Admiral, we have an emergency. The Vrax fleet just entered the Sol system. 200 warships. They are heading straight for Earth. Hyejin felt her blood turn cold. Earth. Humanity's homeworld. The planet where their species was born. Every human alive traced their family back to Earth. Some had ancestors who left only a generation ago. Others had families that had been on Earth for thousands of years. But everyone came from there. How many ships do we have defending Sol? She asked, though she already knew the answer. 5 military ships, plus the orbital defense platforms around Earth. It is not enough. Not against 200 Vrax warships. General Daehyun entered the office. He was old and scarred from many battles. His hair was completely white, but his eyes were sharp and focused. They bypassed all our colonies. They went straight for Earth. They want to send a message. Destroy our homeworld and we will surrender. How long until our nearest fleet can reach Sol? Hyejin asked. 12 hours minimum. The Vrax will attack in 2 hours. Earth's defenses will hold for maybe 20 minutes against that many ships. Hyejin walked to the window. She looked out at the peaceful city. She thought about Earth, about all the people there, about human history, about everything humanity had achieved. Was it all going to end today? They made a mistake, she said quietly. Taehyun looked at her. What do you mean? They attacked Earth. Of all the targets they could have chosen, they picked the one world that every human cares about. They do not understand us at all. She turned to face the officers. Send out an emergency broadcast. All channels. All frequencies. Every human settlement in the galaxy. The message is simple. Earth is under attack. That is it? Just those 4 words? That is all we need to say, Hyejin replied. Every human will understand. And every human will respond. The message went out immediately. 4 simple words. Earth is under attack. No requests for help. No pleas for assistance. No orders to respond. Just a statement of fact. What happened next shocked the entire galaxy. Every human ship stopped what they were doing. Merchants abandoned their cargo. Explorers turned around from new discoveries. Military patrols left their stations. Colony defense fleets abandoned the worlds they were protecting. Tourist ships changed course. Private yachts altered their routes. Mining vessels stopped mining. Construction ships stopped building. All of them headed for Earth. The message had said nothing about coming to help. It had not ordered anyone to do anything, but every human knew what to do. Earth was threatened. Nothing else mattered. In the Sol system, the Vrax fleet commander prepared for battle. His sensors showed 5 human military ships. Weak defenses. This would be easy. The humans would see their home world about to be destroyed and they would surrender. Simple, effective. Then his sensor officer spoke urgently. Commander, we are detecting multiple ships entering the system. Many ships. They are using every jump point, every approach vector. Hundreds of ships. No, thousands. Military reinforcements, the commander said confidently. We expected this. We have superior numbers. Sir, they are not all military ships. Most of them are civilian, freighters, passenger liners, mining vessels, private craft. They are all converging on our position. The commander stared at his displays. 10,000 ships, 20,000, 30,000. The numbers kept climbing. Ships arrived in waves. Some looked damaged from pushing their engines too hard. Some were leaking fuel. Some had their outer hulls cracked from the strain. But they kept coming. What are they doing? The commander demanded. They are leaving their colonies undefended. This makes no tactical sense. A younger Vrax officer spoke quietly. Sir, I have studied human culture. Earth is not just their capital. It is their origin world. Every human traces their lineage back to that planet. It is sacred to them. They would sacrifice all their other worlds to protect one planet? Yes, sir. Because in their minds, if Earth falls, they have already lost everything. They would become a species without a home. Without roots. They would rather die defending it than live knowing they let it be destroyed. The Vrax commander watched 40,000 human ships surround his fleet. They were not all warships. Many were just civilian vessels with improvised weapons. Some had no weapons at all. They had no chance of winning a direct battle. But they had come anyway. Then a voice came over the communications channel. It was Admiral Hyejin. Her face appeared on every screen. She addressed both the Vrax fleet and every human ship in the system. Vrax commander, look around you. What do you see? She continued without waiting for an answer. You see 40,000 ships. Military and civilian, armed and unarmed, professional soldiers and ordinary people. They came from every corner of human space. They dropped everything and rushed here. Do you know why? Because you made a terrible mistake. You attacked Earth. You thought it would break our spirit. You thought we would see our home world threatened and give up. But you were wrong. You showed the galaxy exactly what humanity is. Hyejin's voice was calm but powerful. We are not the strongest species. We do not have the best technology. We are not the oldest or the wisest. But we have something you will never understand. We are willing to die for each other. Every ship here came knowing they might not survive. They came knowing their odds were terrible. They came knowing they might die today. But they came anyway. Because that is what humans do. We do not abandon our own, ever, she paused. So here is my offer. Leave now and this ends. No one needs to die today. You can return to your empire. We will return to our lives. This can be over, but if you stay, we will fight. You will probably win. Your ships are better. Your weapons are stronger. You might even destroy Earth, but the cost will be devastating. You will have to kill every single one of us. 40,000 ships, millions of people, and we will fight with everything we have. Her voice became harder. And even if you win here, you will not win the war. The colonies you ignored will survive. The humans you leave behind will rebuild. They will remember what you did. They will teach their children about Earth, about the day you destroyed our homeworld, and they will come for you, not tomorrow, maybe not for years. But someday humanity will have recovered. We will be stronger, more determined, more dangerous, and we will hunt you across the galaxy until justice is served. We have a saying from our ancient history: never wake a sleeping dragon. You just woke 7 billion of them. What happens next is your choice. The Vrax commander looked at his tactical display. 200 of his best warships against 40,000 ships crewed by beings who valued their homeworld more than their own lives. He could win the battle. But at what cost? And what would come after? He thought about his own homeworld, about his hatchlings, about the Vrax people. Was this worth it? Was conquering 12 human worlds worth starting a war that would never end? Worth making an enemy that would never forgive, never forget? The commander gave his order. All ships, set course for the edge of the system. We are withdrawing, his weapons officer protested. Sir, we have them surrounded. We can still complete the mission. No, the commander said firmly. We cannot. The price is too high. The admiral is correct. We would win today but lose tomorrow. The humans have shown us something today. They have shown us the depth of their commitment, their unity, their determination. We cannot defeat that. Not truly. The Vrax fleet turned away from Earth. They moved slowly out of the system. 40,000 human ships watched them go. When the last Vrax ship disappeared, a cheer erupted across the human fleet. They had won. Not through superior force, not through better weapons, but through unity, through determination, through the simple fact that they refused to abandon their home. Admiral Hyejin sent one final message to all the ships. Thank you. Every one of you answered the call. You left your posts. You left your families. You risked everything, and because of that, Earth stands. Humanity survives. You can all go home now. Go home and know that you saved our species today. The ships slowly began to disperse. They returned to their colonies, their trade routes, their explorations, their normal lives. But nothing would ever be quite the same. They had proven something to themselves and to the galaxy. Humanity was united. Humanity was determined. And humanity would never surrender their home. For the second time, the Vrax Empire had been forced to retreat. The humiliation burned deep. But more importantly, they had learned a lesson. Humanity was not like other species. They could not be conquered through force alone. Any war with them would be long, costly, and devastating. The Vrax would need to reconsider their approach entirely. The Galactic Council met again. This time the mood was very different. The Vrax Empire had retreated twice from human space. This had never happened before. The council members were worried. Some were curious. Others were afraid. But the Vrax Supreme Command was angry. They refused to accept defeat. They proposed something new. A coalition fleet. Multiple empires working together. Each one had reasons to be concerned about humanity's growing influence. Together they would have enough power to crush the humans completely. Dr. Borum stood before the council. She was old now. Her hair was white. Her face had many wrinkles. She had spent her entire career studying alien species, learning their cultures, understanding their ways of thinking. Now she would use all that knowledge one final time. Honored members of the council, she began, I have studied each of your species. The Vrax with your ancient empire spanning thousands of worlds. The Kesseran with your quantum minds that think faster than light. The Tholians who exist partially in other dimensions. You are all magnificent. She paused and looked around the chamber. But you all have something in common. You reach the stars easily. Your evolution gave you natural advantages. Your technology developed smoothly over millions of years. You never had to struggle like humanity did. A holographic display appeared above her. It showed Earth. This is our homeworld. It tried to kill us at every turn. Long periods of terrible cold. Diseases that wiped out entire populations, volcanoes, earthquakes, asteroid impacts. Our planet was not friendly, but we survived. The display changed. Now it showed human history, wars, battles, destruction. We also fought each other for thousands of years. We had terrible wars. Millions died. We invented weapons that could destroy our entire species. Nuclear bombs, chemical weapons, biological plagues. We looked at those weapons and realized something. We could end all life on our planet. We could make ourselves extinct. And you know what we did? We stopped. We stepped back from the edge. We chose to survive instead of destroy. The Vrak Supreme Commander interrupted. Yes. We have heard this story. You survived. You struggled. But none of that matters against superior firepower. The coalition we propose would control 400,000 star systems. You have 12. Your determination cannot overcome such odds. Borum smiled sadly. You still do not understand. You think this is about numbers, about resources, about military strength. It is not. This is about what we are willing to sacrifice, what we are willing to endure. She changed the display again. It showed an old spacecraft, small, simple, ancient by current standards. This is Voyager 1. We launched it in 1977. That was before we even had computers in every home, before we had settled other planets, before we had faster-than-light travel. Voyager was sent to study the outer planets of our solar system. But it kept going. Right now it is still out there. Beyond our sun's influence, traveling through interstellar space, it carries a golden record. Messages from Earth, pictures, sounds, music, we put it there knowing we might never see it again, knowing it might outlive our entire civilization. Borum's voice became stronger. That is humanity. We plant trees knowing we will never sit in their shade. We build for futures we will never see. We sacrifice today for tomorrow. And if you threaten our tomorrow, we will fight with everything we have. You ask why we protect our space so fiercely? Because we know what it is like to be conquered. Our history is filled with empires. Some were good. Some were terrible. People were enslaved. Cultures were destroyed. We carry the memory of every civilization that ever existed on Earth, the good and the bad. And from all of it, we learned one lesson. Freedom must be defended. She looked directly at the Vrak's delegation. You have one last chance. Vote for this coalition. Launch this invasion. And yes, you will win the first battles. Maybe even the first 100 battles. But wars are not won in battles. They are won in the hearts of the people fighting them. And humanity has been training for this war since we first looked up at the stars. We trained when we survived ice ages, when we crossed oceans in wooden boats, when we climbed the highest mountains, when we split the atom, when we walked on our moon. Every challenge we faced made us stronger, made us more determined. Borum's voice dropped to almost a whisper, but somehow everyone could hear her clearly. We did not come to the stars seeking war. We came looking for friends, for knowledge, for a place among you. We hope to learn from you, to share with you, to grow together. But if you force our hand, we will show you why every predator on our world learned to fear humans. We are not the fastest. We are not the strongest. We are not the biggest, but we are the most stubborn species that ever evolved. And we never give up, never. If you invade our space, we will not meet you in open battle, not after the first few defeats. We will change tactics. We will attack your supply lines. We will raid your convoys. We will strike at your colonies when you think you are safe. We will fight a guerrilla war that lasts for generations. She stood straighter despite her age. Your empire will spend more resources fighting us than you would ever gain from conquering our worlds. Your people will grow tired of the endless war. Your economy will suffer. Your allies will question why you started this conflict. And through it all, humans will keep fighting, because that is what we do. The council chamber was completely silent. Even the species that did not need to breathe seemed to be holding their breath. Borum looked around at all of them. Make your choice, she said simply. Vote for war and accept the consequences. Or vote for peace and let us all move forward together. The future of the galaxy may depend on what you decide today. She walked back to her seat. Ambassador Jiwan, who had stood beside her throughout the speech, touched her shoulder gently. Well done, Jiwan whispered. The vote was called. Each species had to decide, support the coalition and join a war against humanity, or refuse and maintain peace. The tension in the chamber was almost physical. One by one, the votes were cast. Many species abstained. They did not want to vote yes, but they also did not want to vote no and anger the Vraks. Others voted against the coalition outright. They had studied humanity. They had seen what happened at Kepler 442 and at Earth. They did not want that kind of enemy. The Kesseran ambassador spoke with his strange, multi-layered voice. We have analyzed the probable outcomes. The coalition would achieve military victory, but the cost would be unacceptable. Humanity would wage asymmetric warfare for decades, perhaps centuries. The damage to galactic stability would be severe. He turned his complex eyes toward the Vrax. You were warned. Multiple times. Some species must learn lessons the hard way, but we choose not to learn this lesson at all. The Kesseran vote against this coalition. Other species followed. Not all of them, but enough. When the final count came in, the coalition proposal had failed. It did not have enough support to proceed. The Varax delegation sat in stunned silence. Their plan had failed. They had been certain other species would join them, would see humanity as a threat, would want to control these aggressive newcomers. But instead, the galaxy had chosen peace. As the council session ended, species began approaching the human delegation. Not to threaten, not to warn, but to talk, to ask questions, to understand. They were curious about these strange beings who valued determination over strength, who protected their own with such fierce loyalty. Ambassador Jiwan walked with Dr. Borum back to their quarters. The old scientist looked tired but satisfied. Do you think they finally understand? Jiwan asked. Some do, Borum replied. Others will need more time. But today was important. We showed them that we are not just warriors. We are also philosophers. We think about the future. We consider consequences. We want peace, but we will fight if we must, Jiwan added. Yes, Borum agreed. We will fight. And that is what makes them nervous. Not our weapons, not our ships, but our willingness to sacrifice everything if necessary. They see that determination and it frightens them. She paused at a window looking out at the stars. But fear can lead to respect. And respect can lead to friendship. Maybe someday the galaxy will see us not as a threat but as partners, as allies, as friends who will stand beside them when times are hard. What about the Vrax? Jiwan asked. They will not forget this humiliation. Borum's expression became serious. No, they will not forget. The Vrax Supreme Command will want revenge. They will plan something. Something desperate. We must be ready. But maybe, she continued more hopefully, not all Vrax agree with their leaders. Maybe some of them see the wisdom in peace. Maybe some of them will choose a different path. Jiwan nodded slowly. We can hope. But we must also prepare. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. That is the human way. Back on the Vrax homeworld, the Supreme Command met in secret. They were furious, humiliated, desperate. They had been defeated 3 times by these weak humans. Their reputation was damaged. Their authority was questioned. They needed a solution. A final solution, but not all Varax agreed with the Supreme Command. In the shadows, a group of reformers met quietly. They called themselves the Reform Movement. They believed the old ways were dying, that the Vrax Empire needed to change, to adapt, to learn from their mistakes, and they believed humanity might be the key to that change. Not as enemies, but as teachers. Part 5. 3 months had passed since the battle. The galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality. Humanity was no longer the weak newcomer. They were a power that demanded respect. And slowly, the council was learning to give it. Daewon walked through the council chamber with confidence, not arrogance, just the quiet assurance of someone who no longer needed to prove himself. Other ambassadors nodded to him, some with respect, some with fear, all with recognition. He took his seat as Elder Kor called the session to order. Today's agenda was important. A new species wanted to join the council, the Drakmor, a warrior race from the outer systems. They were aggressive, territorial, and convinced of their own superiority. Their representative was large, heavily muscled, and covered in ceremonial war paint. He strode to the center of the chamber like he owned it. I am Warlord Kraz of the Drakmor clans, he announced. We come to claim our place among the powerful species of this galaxy. The council welcomes your petition, Kor said formally. Please present your case. Kraz launched into a presentation about Drakmor's strength, their military victories, their conquests, their belief that power was the only thing that mattered in the universe. It was aggressive and dismissive of the Council's diplomatic traditions. You speak of rules and laws, Kraz said, but we know the truth. The strong survive. The weak perish. That is the way of the universe. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. This kind of rhetoric had not been welcome since humanity's demonstration of force. Kraz seemed oblivious to the changing mood. Take the humans, for example, Kraz continued. He gestured toward Daewon. I have heard the stories. One battle against an unprepared enemy, and suddenly they think they are apex predators. It is mythology, propaganda. The weak always invent stories to seem dangerous. The chamber went completely silent. Every ambassador turned to watch Daewon's reaction. Hyojin tensed beside him, but Daewon remained perfectly still. He simply smiled. The same diplomatic smile he wore in his first council session. But now everyone knew what it concealed. Ambassador Daewon, Kor said carefully, would you like to respond? No need, Daewon replied calmly. The warlord is entitled to his opinion, though I would suggest he research human history before making final judgments. Kraz laughed. I do not need to research prey species. I know weakness when I see it. Then you are blind, a new voice said. Councillor Vexthor stood. The former Kraladian leader had been demoted but remained a council member. I made the same mistake, warlord. I thought humans were weak. I learned otherwise. You lost because you were unprepared, Kraz dismissed. The Drakmor would not make such errors. Vexthor looked at Daewon, then back at Kraz. Perhaps you should ask the humans about their unification wars. Ask them how many of their own kind died. Ask them what weapons they used. Ask them how they survived as a species. Ancient history, Kraz said. 50 years ago, Daewon corrected quietly. Not ancient, recent, within living memory. That got Kraz's attention. He turned to face Daewon fully. 50 years? You fought a major war that recently. We fought ourselves, Daewon said. 7 years. 3 billion casualties. We used weapons that we had promised never to use. Chemical, biological, nuclear. Weapons that could end all life on Earth. We brought ourselves to the edge of extinction. The chamber was quiet. Even Kraz seemed surprised. And you survived? Kraz said slowly. Barely. Daewon replied. We rebuilt. We learned. We decided that our capacity for violence needed to be controlled. So we joined together. One species, one world, one goal. Never do that to ourselves again. That is why you prefer diplomacy, Kraz said, understanding dawning. Yes, because we know the alternative. We know what total war looks like. We know the cost. Daewon stood and walked toward Kraz. So when you mock us, when you call us weak, you make the same error that the Krolatians made. You mistake our restraint for inability. I do not fear you, Kraz said, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Good, Daewon said. Fear should not be the basis of relationships. But respect should be, and respect requires understanding who we are. He activated his personal display. Images appeared in the air. Human history, evolution, the development of tools and weapons, the domestication of wolves, the creation of agriculture, the Industrial Revolution, world wars, nuclear weapons, space travel. We are persistence hunters, Daewon said. We chased prey across continents until it died of exhaustion. We are tool users who turned every material we found into weapons. We are social creatures who can coordinate armies of millions. We are the species that looked at fire and decided to control it. We are the only species we know that domesticated other apex predators. More images. Human soldiers fighting in impossible conditions, surviving in deserts, jungles, Arctic zones. Adapting, learning, winning. We came to the galaxy offering peace. Daewon continued. Not because we are weak, because we understand what violence costs. We have paid that price. We do not want to pay it again. But make no mistake, warlord. If you threaten our families, our children, our future, you will discover what 8 billion apex predators are capable of. Kraz stared at the images. He saw human warfare, strategic bombing, nuclear strikes, soldiers fighting hand-to-hand with knives and bare fists, a species that turned everything into weapons and everyone into soldiers when survival demanded it. Your species is terrifying, he said quietly. Yes, Daewon agreed. We can be, but we can also be kind, generous, creative, peaceful. We contain multitudes. That is what makes us human. We choose which part of ourselves to show. Usually we choose the better parts. But the choice is ours to make. He returned to his seat. Welcome to the Council, Warlord Kraz. I hope your people will join us in building a better galaxy. But understand that strength without wisdom leads to destruction. We learned that lesson. Perhaps you can learn from our experience instead of repeating our mistakes. Kraz nodded slowly. The arrogance was gone. In its place was something like respect. I will remember this conversation, Ambassador. I hope you do, Daewon replied. After the session, Elder Quor found Daewon in the observation deck. They stood together watching the neutron star spin. You have changed the Council, Quor said. In 3 months you have accomplished what some species take centuries to achieve. We just showed them who we are, Daewon replied. The rest was inevitable. Will humanity continue to prefer peace? Always, Daewon said. But we will never be helpless again. We will negotiate from strength. We will offer friendship to those who want it. And we will defend ourselves against those who threaten us. That is the balance we have learned. What if someone threatens you again? Daewon smiled. That diplomatic smile that everyone now understood. Then they will join the Kralations in learning that humanity is not prey. We are the hunters. We just learned to be civilized hunters. Across human space, life returned to normal. The fleet returned to their patrol routes. But they no longer disguised themselves. The galaxy knew about them now. There was no point in hiding. Admiral Tae Yang received commendations from Earth Command. He refused medals, saying his fleet did only what any parent would do. Protect their children. That statement became famous across human space. It defined the new human doctrine: diplomacy first, family always, violence only when necessary. But when necessary, overwhelming Commander Jiwoo was promoted to Admiral of Colonial Defense. She visited every family on the Perseverance personally, apologizing for the danger, thanking them for their courage, promising it would not happen again. And everyone believed her, because they knew humanity protected its own. Bora continued her medical work, but now she also trained other species in trauma care. Sharing human medical knowledge freely, building bridges through healing instead of violence. It was another side of humanity. The side that wanted to help, not hurt. Hye-jin left diplomatic service and returned to active military duty. She led a new special operations unit that trained willing alien species in human combat philosophy, not just tactics, philosophy. The idea that violence should be controlled, directed, used only when necessary. Her students learned that being dangerous did not mean being cruel. Captain Yunseo and the crew of the Reaper became legends. Their battle against the Kralations was studied in military academies across the galaxy. Not because they won while maintaining their humanity. They disabled instead of destroying. They captured instead of killing. They showed that being warriors did not mean being monsters. And in the Council chamber, things changed. Humanity was offered a seat on the Council Security Committee, a position usually reserved for species with centuries of membership. Daewon accepted on behalf of Earth. We will serve with honor, he promised. We will work for peace, but we will never forget what we are. Protectors, defenders, survivors, and when necessary, warriors. The galaxy learned to live with this new reality. Humanity was a major power, not because they conquered, because they revealed what they could do and chose not to do it. That restraint, that choice, that control, was more impressive than any military victory. Years later, a young ambassador from another species asked Elder Quor what humans were really like. Quor thought for a long time before answering. They are contradictions, he said. They are capable of great violence and great compassion.